Hello everyone on YouTube, this is TLRRSH, and I'm gonna be reading creepypastas that I wrote, me, and that I posted on the Creepypasta Wiki, and you'll see a playthrough of Portal 2 on the screen. That's just the game I chose to put for this video, because I couldn't find any good creepy games to put on, so... the first one I will start reading is going to be called Phone Call. It's the first one I ever wrote. That's what it says. Okay, so phone call. So there I was, just sitting at my couch. My parents were out and my sisters were both at work. Both working late shifts. My favorite show was on, SpongeBob SquarePants. It was the episode called Hall Monitor. That is the episode where SpongeBob becomes Hall Monitor and he and Patrick try to fight crime. I was at the Maniac sequence where Patrick sees SpongeBob under the light and he keeps saying wee woo, wee woo repeatedly, and my phone rang suddenly and I picked it up. Heavy breathing was coming through the other end. Hello, I asked. The breathing kept going on as if the man had been chased several miles. Who is this? I asked, rather scared now. Suddenly a voice came out. All it said was, here. I hung up and immediately started playing my SpongeBob episode again. The scene was creeping me out because I thought of the phone call and I thought it could be a maniac. I dismissed this idea because it was probably one of my sisters, except it was mouth breathing and my sisters were always against me doing mouth breathing. The thought of it being some kind of deranged maniac suddenly hit my head again, so I picked up the phone and started dialing a number, 911. Just as I was going to press the last one, the phone rang and it made my heart skip. I answered even though I tried to resist. Just heavy breathing again. Listen, you prankster. Can you just stop? Because you have no idea how pissed I am. Here, the voice said. It was rather raspy and sort of sounded like the parcel tongue from Harry Potter. I was confused, however, because I didn't know what the person meant by here. I hung up again. The burning feeling in my head came as I felt I was being watched. I saw movement in my complex parking lot. A dark figure was standing there, under the lamppost. I turned back to my TV. But when I turned back, the figure started walking towards my duplex. As the figure stepped to the light of my porch, I realized it was just my neighbor. She came up and rang the doorbell. I answered. She told me, just come and tell me if you have any problems tonight, okay? I nodded, but then I stopped her. I explained that I had been getting strange phone calls and that the person just kept saying, here. She said I should just shake it off and dismiss it as some kind of practical joke because people make tons of prank calls every day. She had a worried look when she said it, as if she thought it wasn't that and it could be something serious. Good night, I told her, and I shut the door. Immediately as I turned around, the phone rang. This person knew exactly when to call me. I picked it up even though I was a little steamed at this guy. This time though, he said something that made my blood run cold. Dead. I couldn't move. I wasn't thinking it was a morbid joke. I thought it was serious. I locked the door, closed all the blinds, and turned on every light in the house. I lifted the phone up to my ear again, and the voice said something far more disturbing. Another thing was that it was a sentence. I'm here, you're dead. It seemed to get combined his two words and make them into one sentence. I hung up. That was it. I knew what he meant now. He was in the house and he was going to kill me. I picked up the phone and dialed super fast. 911. 911, what is your emergency? I think there's a man in my house ready to kill me. What is your address, sir? 22 17th Street and 5th Avenue. Please hurry. Okay, sir, units are dispatched. I immediately saw something out of the corner of my eye. I turned fully, but it was just my shadow. I was lucky in this place because the police were just a couple of minutes away. The phone rang again. The tears streamed down my face as I pressed the talk button. Behind, the voice said. I turned around, and he was there. Okay, so that was phone call. I thought that one was pretty good for a first one, I guess. Please tell me what you think. And so now I'm gonna start reading the next one. This one is called Town. It's the second one I wrote. So Town. If you ever lived in a small town, you would know how I feel or felt. Small towns are amazing. You know everyone, no crime, and especially just quiet. Towns just have something that cities don't. And in the story, you'll find one thing different. I was driving home from work. The sun was going down. I was listening to some 50s classical music. My car was going sort of slow down the street, but it was so dead that it didn't matter. Suddenly, I looked out my side window and saw a man. He was well-built, dark, well, not dark-skinned. I mean, he was shady-looking, wearing a black hat and a coat. I slowed down, and he turned his head towards me. I finally said, "Hi," but he just made a sort of grunting sound. It sounded sort of rude and somewhat evil in nature. I slowly turned my head back to the road and sped up. I reached my house after a few minutes. The car spat a last cloud of smoke as I turned the key. I pushed the car door open and stepped out. I saw my neighbor walk into her house next door. She smiled and waved. However, I saw a nervous look on her face. I had to turn around to see what she was looking at. There he was, that same shady figure who I saw before. He turned his head again, and I could hear his grunt again, echoing through the street. I turned the key in my lock and opened my door. My dog came up to me and I patted him on the head. I knew I was safe with him. He was a police dog and he was extremely loyal. Even though nothing happens in small towns, I could still use a little protection. I flipped on the TV and plopped down on the couch. Halloween was on. Great. Just the film I needed to see. About a murder in a small town. I flicked it to Big Bang Theory. That is a show that makes you feel better. My dog all of a sudden started barking. He was looking towards my neighbor's house. Oh no, I didn't want to look. No way. My neck just jerked itself sideways and I saw him again. He was creeping towards my neighbor's house. He got up to the steps and I saw him enter. My eyes went really wide. I was scared. I was really close to my neighbor. All of a sudden I heard the worst sound I ever heard. A woman's blood-curdling scream. I immediately jumped off my couch and sprinted out the door. I cut across her lawn and stumbled up the steps of her porch. I entered through the door silently. My senses led me to the kitchen where I could grab a butcher knife. All of a sudden I heard a dragging noise coming from the basement. I crept down the stairs. Her basement wasn't all that great. It smelled like horse crap and there was one light bulb that lit the entire basement. This time the light was off. I saw a shadow moving behind some boxes, and I heard a dragging sound. I pointed my knife forward as I slowly made my way down. I heard a loud bang and I jumped for the light switch. My head smashed on the hard floor. Looked through my blurry eyes and saw something terrifying. My neighbor was bruised and bloody. The figure turned around so he looked over his shoulder and grinned. Not just a grin. It was like the Joker's grin. He then turned around and showed me his hatchet. Then he grunted. I then got up and started up the stairs. He was right behind me. I reached upstairs and slammed the door right in his face. I could hear him tumbling down the flight. I had to get out of there. I decided to run to the local police station. The town could suddenly turn into a freaking slaughterhouse. As I reached the station, I met up with the captain. He asked me questions about the figure and I told him the right answers. I was about to leave when he asked me an extremely huge question. Should we warn the entire town? Yes, was my reply. He nodded and phoned down to the news station. Suddenly I got the burning feeling in my head that someone was watching me. I spun around and saw no one. I somehow knew he had gotten out of the house. Another officer suddenly barged into the office and told us some bad news. He said that a person down the road had their face hacked at with an axe. The captain swore and told everyone to go home. We were told to lock our doors, our windows, and not go inside. Finally, arm yourself. Everyone at the police station drove home while I ran to my house. I began to lock everything as I got myself inside my house. I then plopped on my couch and flipped my TV on. The news reporter was repeating over and over that there was a killer on the loose. Our town was in panic. The sun set over the horizon and I began to yawn. I heard my mailbox open, and I saw a mailman walking away with a worried look. I grabbed a butcher knife from my kitchen and unlocked my door. I grabbed the letter and I slammed the door, not looking for anyone outside. I decided to go upstairs to my office to check the letter out. I ripped the letter open and it read. And read it. It read, "You're next, Jack. Oh, why did you ever try to do that to me? This is the apocalypse, Jack. Hell has come to your little town. You can't escape it. You can't run. Your face will be nothing but a cave after I pay you a visit. Those quiet streets will be filled with screams of dying people. You will suffer." Signed, Anonymous. I stumbled back, tears coming out of my eyes. I looked at the letter once more and realized that it wasn't written in red ink. It was blood. My body lay still in my bed. I looked at my clock. For some freaking reason, I couldn't get to sleep. The entire scene was going through my head like a horror movie. I then heard another blood-curdling scream down the street. Then I knew it. He was close. I grabbed my butcher knife and headed for my door. Then I heard a kid scream. Another tear skidded down my face. I took a look out my window and saw him walking down the street towards my house. He looked up and grunted. Then he continued towards my house. I turned the knob to my door and ran downstairs. Right as I got to my living room, I saw him at the front door. He grinned at me through my window and pulled out his axe. I was just about to run when he smashed the door in. I screamed and held up my knife. He swung his axe directly at me. I bent back. He grunted and took another swing. I jumped back. His grin showed again. I decided to turn around and run. Right before I did, I chucked my knife at his head. It impaled his skull and he fell backwards. I then ran outside to the backyard and jumped the fence. Took a last peek over my fence and saw him. He was standing at the back door. This guy clearly wasn't human. I ran to the woods out the back of my house. That was a mistake. I was running so fast I didn't know how far in the woods I had gotten. I was turning my head every direction, but I couldn't see past the first tree. I heard a grunt echo through the trees. Sweat was running down my face. Now I was freaking scared. I saw him out of the corner of my eye. I decided to start running again. I was hyperventilating like crazy, but I could stop. Then I stopped. He was right in front of my face. I couldn't move. He began to walk slowly towards me. Everything seemed to close in on me. I tripped on a log and fell back while moving backwards. I was about to be killed. I knew it. The figure took his last step and stopped right in front of me. He slowly lifted up his axe. I looked off in the distance and saw another figure closing in. I could tell this spelled the end for me. I then looked up again and shut my eyes really tight. I didn't want to see my own death. Suddenly I heard a loud gunshot and looked up. The figure dropped his axe and stood still. Another shot came and the figure's head blew off his body. I jumped up and looked around. A cop jumped out from a tree with a shotgun. He told me that he was going to be okay. I was so startled by the event that I couldn't even speak. Finally I said something though. Is he dead? The policeman replied, "I'm sure he is." He led me to his car at the edge of the forest. As I was about to open the door, I looked back to the woods, and I heard a grunt echo through the trees. Okay, so that was Town. This is probably my favorite one that I wrote. And again, please tell me what you thought of it. So now I'm gonna read another one called Ripper. It's not as long as the other ones, I don't think, so might not take as long. And I have one more after this that's really short, so just sit back again and relax as I read another one. Okay, so Ripper. This one's called Ripper. This pasta can also be named the Ripper. However, that is already taken by another pasta. The Ripper is a 4-part video, which was uploaded by the channel Michael Voorhees on YouTube. These videos contain footage of gruesome deaths and a real serial killer. They have been asked if they had created the video, but they claim many times that they just found an iPod laying near a playground, and they decided to upload it. Okay, the Ripper from the video seems to be well built. He wears a gray parka with fur on the hood. He also wears a black mask, which makes his face impossible to identify. He wears Nike shoes that are neon green, white, gray. He holds a huge machete with a ton of blood on it. So, the first video, part 1. The first video, part 1, begins with a teenager walking down an alley, who says his name is Eric. He talks about how he wants to get his life on film. He suddenly looks up and sees a man standing at the end of the alley. This man is the Ripper, who starts swinging a machete around. Eric starts to jog away. He then turns around again and sees the Ripper start to run after him. Eric makes rude remarks about the Ripper, such as, "This guy's gay." After Eric runs across the road and the camera shakes violently, extremely violently because of him running, and the video cuts. Part 2. The second video does not take off where it stops. The second video starts with Eric walking into a deserted playground. He immediately takes refuge on the equipment. He turns around and sees the Ripper walking into the playground. He runs up the stairs and sees the Ripper leaning on a railing. Eric asks, "What do you want?" And he slides down the slide. He then runs to the baby park and sees the Ripper climbed up one of the pieces of equipment right beside him. Eric runs to the picnic table. Ariane sees the Ripper stumbling towards the same place. The Ripper tosses him his machete, but he misses Eric. Not Mrs. Eric. He misses Eric. Eric then goes around the 2 tables and stands there. The Ripper jumps up onto the table and tackles Eric. The Ripper slices Eric. He can't see anything. Screaming from Eric is heard, and you see the Ripper towering over the camera. He puts his hand over the camera and cuts the video. Now into part 3. Video 3 takes place one day after Eric's chronicle. Now the phone is found by a much younger boy, probably named, his name's probably Tommy. Well, that's what he calls himself. Tommy explains that his mom said he shouldn't be on YouTube, but he found a free phone, so what the heck. That was just a summary of his words. He sees the Ripper standing beside a tree. I will not say everything Tommy said because he says a lot. The Ripper walks around the other side of the tree. Tommy begins to run. For some reason, he runs around and comes back to the playground. One part came as shocking. The Ripper asked Tommy, "Do you want candy?" It isn't clearly audible, but after clearing it up, that's what is heard. Tommy says he's allergic and starts to run again. Tommy also explains that this guy is a Ripper, which is where the title came from. The Ripper continues to ask the same question, with Tommy giving the same answer. Tommy begins to trust the Ripper, and he walks closer. Tommy starts asking questions like, "Why do you have a machete?" The answer is, "It's fake." And the camera goes onto the Ripper again, and it cuts. Part 4. This one starts exactly where part 3 left off. Tommy starts to run from the Ripper, and the screen goes black for a while, but Tommy's screams are still heard. The camera is opened again, and we see the Ripper grabbing onto Tommy. The Ripper lets go, and they begin to converse while walking together. Tommy is still really nervous. They enter the playground again, and the Ripper lets Tommy hold his machete. And then suddenly, the Ripper charges at Tommy and knocks him down. Tommy has his stomach slit open. Not known, but most likely. And you hear his guts spilling out. He's screaming in pain, but he dies a few seconds later. We see the Ripper's shoes on the screen for a bit, and the camera turns to his body. He towers over it for a bit until cutting the video. So, the conclusion. The YouTubers said they found the phone in the spot that Tommy was murdered. However, all evidence seemed to be covered up. No shoe prints, blood, They also say that when they found it, the last video was said to be made 20 minutes ago. The whole thing was kept under protection. The parents of both Eric and Tommy were located, but they decided not to be on any news program, which is weird. Speaking that there weren't any. This was the only footage ever found of this man, and no one knows who else he has gotten. The town name will not be revealed either. If you however do find an iPod, check for any footage of this maniac. Just hope the footage is not of your own murder. These videos are real, by the way. Oh wait, this is just me talking now. The videos are real, by the way, and go check them out. Tell me what you thought of this pasta, and tell me what you thought of the screw it. Thought of the pasta. There. And so the last one. This one's short. It's called Lock Up. So it's very short. It'll be done in like 10 seconds. But I'll read it sort of slow. If you're at your house alone, make sure to lock up, or else go upstairs, lock the windows. Go downstairs, lock the windows. Lock your back door. Lock your garage door. Most importantly, lock your front door. Because if you haven't done that, he's already behind you. So that was it's sort of like a poem. And yeah, tell me what you thought of that one. And so those are all the ones I wrote. And I hope you liked them, because I'll probably make more. And I really hope you liked them. So yeah. Oh yeah. So I'll give you the information. I'll give you the links to all the pasta so you can go check them out. And it's the inspiration for phone call came from the movie Scream, because of the strange phone calls and stuff. And the town one, I just came up with that myself, because I like the ideas of small towns being like they're so good and nothing ever happens, so why not make something really bad happen there? And this surprise ending. And Ripper came from a series of videos that I made. Don't worry, they're not real, so don't get too all excited about that. But I hope you still find them creepy. And the final one, Lock Up, is just sort of a surprise one. I know there's a lot where it's like he's behind you and stuff. Shut up. But I just like that idea, so I know it's a cliche, and I know it's like, yeah, like that. But so yeah, and as I said before, tell me what you think of all of these, and please like, and so I will leave the link, and so, and don't insult me if you think of copying some ordinary gamers, because I just wanted to do one for myself. But so don't say that, because I know I'm sort of copying him, but I'm not trying to entirely copy. I'm not calling it haunted gaming either, so yeah, so that's really all I have to say. And if you want to know my username on the wikis, like Creepypasta and stuff, it's Keanu, like Keanu Reeves, KEAU 1337. That's all one word. And I don't make that many usually, but if I do upload more, I'll make another video about them. So please subscribe. This is TLRRSH, and I'm signing off. See ya.